All right, our next special order of business is an update on Worker Cooperative Initiative. And I think it goes to City Manager.
Good evening. I'm going to pass this over to Ruth and Robin, as well as we have our Worker Cooperative representatives online. So Ruth.
Great.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Actually, I'm going to pass this over to Robin Sahid. She's been the lead project manager on this. And so she'll take us through this presentation on all the work that's been happening to get us to this point. So Robin.
Thank you, Ruth. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Robin Sayed, Assistant to the City Manager. I'm excited to share with you an update on the city's Worker Cooperative Initiative. And to begin, I would like to quickly review the work we've done to get us to this point. Jason, if you wouldn't mind switching the slide. In July of 2019, as you may remember, the City Council held a dynamic study session on the worker cooperative business model and heard from experts in the field and local businesses that have adopted this model. The worker cooperative and broader employee ownership business model is values driven, putting the worker and community benefit at the core of its purpose, which means workers own the business and participate in its financial success, and workers have representation on and vote for the board of directors. In November of 2019, at the recommendation of the Economic Development, Communications and Marketing Committee, City Council allocated $100,000 toward this effort. That following March, the city adopted a resolution in support of worker cooperatives. Over the summer of 2020, we entered into a contract with Project Equity to conduct a business landscape analysis to help the city understand the risk to business retention among established companies, including potential future impact on jobs, the business tax base, priority industry sectors, and overall economic development goals. That same month, we released a statement of qualifications seeking firms with direct experience educating and providing technical expertise to municipalities and businesses on the worker cooperative business model. The city received one proposal from the Democracy at Work Institute and entered into a contract in December of 2020. Next slide, please. This initiative is important because traditional economic development strategies rarely look at succession planning. Employee ownership is an option that allows owners to retire well while keeping the business locally owned. This initiative will provide a tool to assist our businesses with succession planning with the hope of keeping them here and thriving in Santa Clara. Next slide, please. I'm pleased to introduce the strong team we've assembled to move this initiative forward, and you'll meet many of them tonight. From Project Equity, we have co-founder Hilary Abel, who is one of the leading experts in the field, Business Development Manager Donna Sky, and Operations and Regional Business Development Manager Jason Eby. I'm also pleased to introduce our partners from the Democracy at Work Institute, or DAWI for short. DAWI is an important partner in this initiative and will work closely with Project Equity to educate our businesses on available resources and help the city build a sustainable worker cooperative program. To help fulfill its scope of work, DAWI will also utilize its partners at the Sustainable Economies Law Center, or SELC, which provides essential legal tools, including education, research, advice, and advocacy, as well as the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. The U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives is the national membership organization for worker cooperatives, which trains its members to act as ambassadors and advisors by sharing their experiences and tools with business owners contemplating worker ownership. Joining us today from the Democracy at Work Institute is Program and Policy Manager Zen Trenholm. From the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, we have Policy Director Mo Mankling. And from Sustainable Economies Law Center, we have Policy Director and Staff Attorney Yassi Eskandari Kahar. With that, I would like to welcome Hilary with Project Equity to share with you some of the findings from their analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the introduction, Robin, and good evening, Mayor Gilmore, City Council members, and staff. I'm delighted to be here with you again and to be partnering with the city on this Worker Cooperative Initiative. As Robin said, I'm joined today by my colleagues Donna Sky and Jason Eby from Project Equity, and by our colleagues Zen from Democracy at Work Institute and the other wonderful partners that Robin mentioned. You'll be hearing, after I present to you the findings of our business landscape analysis, you'll be hearing from Donna and Zen about the activities the city is supporting as part of this initiative. And I also want to mention that this initiative is launching alongside other efforts in the Bay Area and statewide, as well as other activities in Santa Clara, such as work that our friend Kirk Vartan of A Slice of New York is doing with Mission College. So I think that this initiative is going to be driving a lot of new momentum that will be supported by other like-minded efforts around the state. The first of the two contracts, as Robin explained, that the city has put together as part of this initiative is with Project Equity, and our initial phase of work was to do a small business landscape analysis. So I'm going to walk you through those findings over the next few slides. We used commercial business data via Hoover's Dunn and Bradstreet, which was current as of July 2020, and conducted an analysis of around 6,000 small businesses in Santa Clara that employ more than 60,000 people and have nearly $11 billion in revenue. And the purpose of this analysis is really twofold. One, it's to help the city understand, and all of the stakeholders understand, the economic impact that older businesses in particular have on the city, and thus the importance of retaining them through strategies like worker cooperative and employee ownership transitions. The other purpose is that you have a wonderful team, as you have heard Robin from her kind introduction, assembled here to do outreach to Santa Clara businesses and provide educational activities. And so this data analysis helps inform our outreach strategy. This graphic gives you a quick view of what we found. We sorted the data by zip code, industry, and company age range. And as you can see, the vast majority of companies in Santa Clara, like most places, are relatively young companies. Our work, however, focuses on the businesses that are 15 years old or older. And Robin explained why, and I'll get to sort of the punchline at the end of my presentation. As you can see from this bar graph, there are around 600 companies that are 30 or more years old, which is quite a few in a city the size of Santa Clara, and around 500 each that are in the next two brackets below that. The reason that we highlight companies that are 15 years old, and actually our outreach targets companies that are 20 years old, is because we have learned that they are the prime candidates for outreach and engagement. For two reasons, both because they employ more people and they provide more revenue to the city, so they're drivers of economic development and jobs in the city that we want to retain. And it's also because of the maturity of those businesses and the fact that they have survived multiple recessions, for example. So hopefully these are companies that have the strength to continue for the long run because they've already proven that they can do so. The other reason that they're important to our outreach is that they are unlikely, like most people, actually most human beings, to have long-term plans for their company. So previous research by others has shown that only about 15% of businesses these days hand down to the next generation, family businesses. It's actually very rare these days to have a family succession, and that most business owners don't have succession plans. And finally, when a business owner does decide to put the company up for sale, it's not necessarily likely to sell. The data shows that only about 20% of small businesses that are listed actually end up finding a buyer. So these trends point to significant opportunity to look at the lesser known but very promising alternative of an employee ownership succession or sale to the employees. These are the key industries that we found to have significant numbers of older businesses in the city of Santa Clara. So this was cut off at 100 or more businesses that are 15 or more years old. And they overlay very well with the industries that organizations like the ones represented here today have targeted for transitions to employee ownership. These include manufacturing, construction, transportation, warehousing, and wholesale trade. And the reason we like to see these businesses transition is because of the positive impact they have, the workforce demographics, and the quality of the jobs they provide. So in the case of manufacturing, for example, there's a very significant multiplier effect, which shows that each manufacturing job on average can be linked to 5 other jobs in the economy. And that's significantly more than other sectors such as service, which generates 1 additional job, and retail jobs, which generate a quarter of an additional job. So I'll show you now the distribution of manufacturing companies that are older that we found in the city of Santa Clara. It turns out that nearly 300 companies in Santa Clara in the manufacturing sector are 20 or more years old. And they employ almost 5,000 people, about 4,700 people. And those of you who live in the city are going to recognize some of the neighborhoods that they're concentrated in. You can go to the next slide, Jason. And in the construction sector, we see almost 100, actually 87 construction companies that we found in Santa Clara that are 20 or more years old, and they employ about 3,500 people. So I just wanted to share these two examples to give you a sense of the geographic distribution and the numbers of jobs in these older companies in Santa Clara. And now we get to my last slide, which is really the punchline, as I called it. The companies that are 20 or more years old in the city of Santa Clara, there are about 1,100 of them. They represent 18%, so less than 20% of the total number of businesses in the city, but they account for nearly 60% of the small business revenues and more than 30% of the jobs. So what we can demonstrate here is that the outstanding, longstanding, and kind of oversized impact that these legacy businesses have on the community through jobs and business revenue. And this is similar to findings we've found in other places. It's, you know, a common trend and represents a very significant opportunity. And we now know who these businesses are, where they are, and have developed a strategy to reach them. So with that, I want to hand it off to my colleague, Donna Skye, to tell you a little bit about the activities of business outreach.
Thank you for that. Donna?
Hello.
Hello.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you for that, Hillary. Hello, Madam Mayor. Thank you. So yes, I'm Donna Skye, and I was a longtime business owner myself. So having the opportunity to speak with and support business owners is something that really is exciting to me and near and dear to my heart. I'm on the business development team here at Project Equity and am often the first point of contact, providing one-to-one consultation calls with business owners. And I'd like to share a bit about our comprehensive approach to business engagement and transition support. Our business outreach includes engaging with businesses on multiple layers. We begin with building awareness and getting the word out to businesses about employee ownership in Santa Clara through press and targeted advertisements so owners know about the services. We also work with important local business connectors to reach business owners through existing networks and local organizations and advocacy groups like the Worker Owner Recovery Coalition, or also known as WORK, in which Project Equity, Dowie, and Santa Clara's Own a Slice of New York are founding members of. Our work includes plenty of direct one-to-one consultations with business owners so we can learn about each business's goals and unique scenarios. As well, we facilitate educational webinars and events to provide insightful information about employee ownership for business owners and community connectors. We'll also host a larger stakeholder gathering, and all of these events will be in collaboration with Dowie and other expert partners. Next slide. We have a 5-stage transition process that begins with an informal, no commitment consultation or consultations, which can lead to a formal feasibility assessment if it's deemed that employee ownership is the right fit for the business owners, and ends with a guided transition process and post-transition support. This process is designed to help guide people with no prior knowledge about employee ownership to explore whether it's the right fit for them. It also helps ensure businesses are successful post-transition and creates a win-win solution for the workers, the owner, and the local community here in Santa Clara. Our educational webinars designed for business owners will go into much more detail about this process and how to get started, but owners that are interested now can certainly sign up for consultations at any time. Next slide. To support thriving cooperatives for the long term in Santa Clara, we screen for success, cultivate a referral network, and provide ongoing support. To screen for success, we examine readiness factors like financial health, company culture, and management bench. We found that businesses that are revenue producing and profitable for 3 years or more and have 10 or more employees are usually a better fit. But again, these are generalizations as each business is unique, and those individual factors can be discussed in those one-to-one consultations. We really want to know each business's individual goals and scenarios. Then we cultivate and tap into local network for referrals where needed to support each business through the transition process. And lastly, we offer ongoing support and stay connected with transitioned businesses through a Thrive service and also ongoing events. So our work is complementary to local partners like the Democracy at Work Institute. And with that, I'd like to hand it off to Zen of the Democracy at Work Institute now, who I've had the pleasure of working with as a fellow in the Seed Fellowship program that Zen leads.
Thank you, Donna. Zen.
Yeah. Hi there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. Hi, Mayor Gilmore, and good evening to council members and staff. It's a pleasure to be here, reconnecting again around this really exciting initiative. So first, I just want to thank Project Equity for a fantastic presentation on what we're actually talking here about the potential impact on the loss of businesses to the city of Santa Clara, and the type of support that Project Equity is offering to business owners to explore this option. So I'm really excited to be working closely with the city and of course with our partner Project Equity to continue to provide additional support to ensure that business owners and their workers have the tools and resources they need to consider employee ownership as a succession plan, and to also ensure that the city and the ecosystem is properly supported with the type of tools and capacity needed to continue to support future business owners and workers to also explore this option, not as something that's new and flashy, but it's something that's part of normal economic development and small business practice, and how we make sure that we keep jobs and businesses local, give opportunities for business ownership for business workers. So we joined Project Equity alongside our partners at the Sustainable Economies Law Center and the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops in helping support owners and workers to consider this as a tool. And so as part of our contract, we're going to be providing an education and technical assistance series for both owners and employees. And so we're going to kick off with a partnered event, business owner training towards the end of February, which will really serve as the launch of our education and training series, where Project Equity will lead a business owner training and we'll discuss kind of upcoming informational sessions, legal workshops, and other technical assistance workshops, so that owners know what resources they have available to them to examine if this is the right option for them, and who they can learn from other business owners themselves who've explored this as an option and have ultimately converted themselves. And so beyond that, we'll also be training and equipping relevant city staff and ecosystem service providers on what it takes to kind of be a conversion guide, or to help refer owners who are asking questions about the succession plan, and refer them to Project Equity to continue to explore employee ownership as a succession option, and to connect their clients to, again, our education technical assistance series. So in many ways, we're providing support needed now so owners and workers can consider this as an option. But we're also building capacity for the long term in the ecosystem, so that, as Donna said, local service providers are also part of this work, and also thinking about how this can be part of their toolkits. And finally, and this brings in some of the work that I do at Democracy at Work Institute, we're going to be helping the city establish and implement a sustainable worker cooperative program beyond 2021. So figuring out how the city can retain its legacy businesses through transition to employee ownership as part of its ongoing small business support. Part of that work is working very closely with Robin and her team to review existing city programs, protocols, and policies around what it could look like to use existing supports to make it easier for owners and workers to explore employee ownership. Providing a little nuts and bolts training on conversions to relevant city staff so that they're aware of this form, how it works, and what some of the obstacles and challenges are to adoption. And then ultimately providing a set of recommendations alongside our partners, Sustainable Economies Law Center, on what are some simple, low-cost ways that the city can incentivize employee ownership for the years to come. So again, right-sizing it for the city and its capacities now, but also thinking long-term about the type of support ecosystem that enables employee ownership formation. And then, of course, in addition to this, I'm sure Robin will speak more to this, but we've also submitted some web copy for a city-hosted webpage that discusses kind of the background context for this initiative. And for any owner, worker, or community member interested in employee ownership, they can go to the city and be able to access a slew of resources and a referral page so that they can get immediate support from Project Equity and from the city itself. So really excited to be working with the city to develop supports now that addresses the current need, while also laying the strong groundwork to make this a sustainable initiative for the years to come. And for now, I guess I think I pass to Robin.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Mayor.
No, I was saying thank you, Zen. Robin.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Zen. As you can all see, we have just a really strong team of experts helping us move this really important initiative forward. We're really excited to keep moving with this. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to review a few of the next steps with you. So as Zen mentioned, by the end of the week, we're hoping to issue a press release about the initiative and also launch our webpage. There's a lot of great resources that will be available to businesses in our community. And then again, we're targeting the end of February to host our first educational session. So we're all lined up to get this out there to the community and start educating our businesses about this model. And with that, the team is here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to our council questions, I see that we have Kurt Vartan here. I'd like for him to give an update for us in terms of his work with Mission College. So Kurt, can we allow him in? Because I want the council and the public to see the full picture. Kurt?
He's moving over to the panelist side.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi. Yeah, great. Thanks.
Hi, Kurt.
Oh, and it's video too? Oh, I didn't know there was video too. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's Zoom. Welcome to Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if I'm on video, but I'll just wave if I am. All right. I just wanted to, and I won't take much of your time. I just am so thrilled about all the work that's being done here. I think the level of experts you have is top of the line here. It's just awesome to see the enthusiasm that's going on right now. The work that I'm working on right now in parallel to all of this and in conjunction with all of the people that are on your expert team right here, are part of the Work Coalition, the Worker-Owned Recovery California Coalition. And we're one of the founding members of that with all four of the organizations. There's a few more that are also part of this coalition at this, really looking at the state level on how we can implement changes in policies and focus on worker ownership and employee ownership in general. And one of the things that I have a sub team that I'm working on is it's dubbed like a rapid conversion academy. And that's something that is, how can you do some of the things that we do at scale and look at it a little bit differently in parallel to what's being done here. And so I've been working with a number of people on the call now and others not on the call that directly with Mission College. And this is, with the city has been involved in this in the past, as well as the chamber. And it's just a very exciting opportunity to work with Mission College's adult education, continuing education program that is headquartered right here in Santa Clara. And it's just, they're very enthusiastic about looking at what can we do. And we're starting off with like that kind of intro level overview on what do you need to do to get the information to people so that they can make informed decisions in conjunction with what's happening here. So I'm very excited to be working in partners with all these experts that you have here. And I'm humbled to be part of this process. And I'm just so thankful that you guys have embraced it.
Sorry, unmute. Hang with us because there might be some questions for you, especially about Mission College. So I'm going to go now to the council questions, starting with Councilmember Jane.
I am pleased to see that this is happening. I know that you're doing a business owner training at the end of February. I was wondering, are we going to get a report back as to how those trainings are going? Is there any plan to report back? And then the second question I had was that when you set up something with employee ownership and employees get a stock in the business, there's a lot of legal work to do. And what kind of legal help do you provide? Do you have template plans or template programs that you can provide to the businesses to make it easy? Because I imagine the legal costs could be pretty high.
I think that's all part of the whole program, but who would like to explain?
I'll start on the first question and then I'll leave the other for the consultants and Robin. This is an item that has regularly reported out to the Economic Development, Marketing and Communications Committee. And so we will continue to provide periodic reports on key milestones and the progress that we're making. And before I hand over the question to the next individual who wants to answer it, I just want to thank Robin for all of her incredible work, as this was a hard lift. And obviously, as Kirk suggested, it's unprecedented, and we are leaders in this area. And I know that it couldn't have been done without Robin's hard work. So thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. Thanks, everyone. You're too kind. As you can see, there's a big team that I just rely on them. They're the experts. And then I'll take an initial shot at Councilmember Jane's question about the legal advice. Our contract with Democracy at Work does have, they're using the Sustainable Economies Law Center as a sub-consultant. So they will be attending the educational sessions to help answer some of those legal questions. But they're not, I mean, if a business wants to move through this process, they would have to, hire any attorneys and seek out those services. So ours is just, our work with Sustainable Economies Law Center is in just providing information. And then I'll let Zen possibly, if he wants to add on to that.
No, I think that captures it actually perfectly. We want to be able to provide enough assistance so that so owners can understand what this option does entail, and then be able to explore kind of the best service providers that they can reach out to figure out exactly the model that works best for them. So again, we'll provide early stage support just to examine the possible structures that this could take, and then be able to support owners to then figure out who they can refer out to.
Thank you. Councilmember Watanabe.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Robin. I just have one quick question. First of all, I remember when this came to the marketing committee and how it seems like it was a long time ago, but yet so much progress has been made really in such a short period of time. I remember that there was going to be outreach to the congressional representatives as well. Has that gone forward, or are there any updates regarding that?
I will let maybe Hillary take that, updates of what's happening at that level. I know Mayor Gilmore did sit on a panel with Representative Khanna, which was great. We were lucky to have her participate. But Hillary, if you could give us an update.
Sure. Yeah, as Kirk mentioned, the Worker-Owned Recovery California Coalition is very active and has been kind of maintaining and deepening relationships with congressional representatives. So I think the latest is that Assemblymember Kalra is going to be working with us on some of the next steps that we're bringing, both in terms of a budget letter to get the state to actually invest some funding in supporting initiatives like this. And also some bill ideas we may be advancing. So those conversations have continued, and we should have a lot more to share around that in the months ahead.
Great, good work. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Ben, did you have something to add on to that? I see your hand up.
Oh, I guess just in brief, as well as Representative Rokana has also been helping lead policy initiatives at the federal level to be able to increase support for employee ownership, particularly conversion. So in many ways, Santa Clara is a model community for all the different ways that federal, state, and local players can support business owners to be able to explore this option with the right tools and resources to make it happen. So there is work and outreach work being done and a lot of leadership from local and regional and federal representatives.
Right, thank you. And the workshop that I participated in, the panel, Assemblyman Kalra was on it as well, and with Congressman Khanna. And they really showed, both at the state and federal level, a lot of interest in this. And both of them were, excited about what we were doing here in Santa Clara to help. So thank you. Councilmember Chahal, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Robin, and everybody who presented. Appreciate that. And this is, this is a great initiative. My only question is, as per the project equity team's analysis, do we have a target list of businesses which we think are very prospective fall into this bracket? I know we selected 20-year-old and above businesses, around 1,138 businesses, but out of those, do we have a list of say 50 to 100 which are really great target depending upon the age of the owner, so that we can be very proactive in contacting them and selling them this idea proactively instead of them coming to us and telling us, oh yeah, we are interested. But I'm trying to be, can we be very proactive, and what needs to be done for that, to achieve that?
Thank you, Councilmember Chahal, because that's something we've been discussing over the years, and the outreach, which is more important than anything else. So I don't know who wants to take that. Kurt, did you want to take that?
I'm happy to take it. And Donna, if you'd.
Sorry, is this Donna?
And Donna, if you'd like to. Oh.
Or is this, is that Hillary?
This is Hillary. Yes. Okay, yes. Happy to jump in.
Go ahead, Hillary.
Okay, thank you. So we do have the outline of our outreach plan already developed, and we'll be refining that with the city in the weeks ahead. So the first step is actually a press release that I believe Zen and Robin both mentioned. So that's now the city staff is taking a look at that to refine it, and we'll be helping them release that in the coming days, I believe. I think we're still strategizing to decide the final date. And so that's the first step to raise public awareness, because as you probably know, it takes, I think the common wisdom is maybe 7 touch points in most cases to have someone learn about something new and take action around it. So we're hoping that the public awareness raising and some press coverage will be 1 or 2 of those touch points for some of the business owners we want to reach. And then our action plan will include several things that Donna pointed to at a high level. We are probably going to start with some social media ads. So we've been finding that with LinkedIn and Facebook, we can target very specifically to zip codes and put out an ad that has the link of how to sign up for a consultation with Donna, that has the city's initiative mentioned so that they know that it's something formal and official and not just an organization they haven't heard of reaching out to them. So we can target those to zip codes where those companies are. And we'll probably follow that on with either kind of direct email outreach and or direct snail mail outreach. We've done both of those things in the past, as well as phone calling, and we've kind of got a sense of the things that we think work best. And there's really the combination of that outreach. So yes, we will have a smaller targeted list of, some hundreds of companies in the industries and of the age bracket that we were discussing.
Thank you.
And Donna will be doing a lot of that work. Yeah.
Okay.
Hillary and Donna. Thank you. Councilor Shaw, any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions, and I don't know, maybe Kurt might be able to answer because it's regarding Mission College. So, we've been working on this for a long time, right? Since you brought it to our committee, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe. Time flies, right? And we've gotten really far, and now we finally have all the experts lined up here to get this done. But in all the time I've been involved in this, it's not an easy thing to explain. And sometimes that's the real hard part of this, is that it's a great concept and it works for businesses, legacy businesses, but it's not easy to explain. So, or set up. So what you're working on with Mission College, is it going to be more, practical about how to set this up, like a kit, like a toolkit? This is what you do, and hold hands all the way through this, this class or whatever is offered. How are we going to make this easy, super simple, and attractive so that we can keep these small businesses in our community and not lose them? So that's what, and I don't know, Kurt, if you're the one, or Zen, or whoever's going to talk about this. Let's start with Kurt about Mission College. What do those classes look like? What are the charges for those classes, and how do we make it super simple? I know you maybe don't have a responsibility for charges, but start with Kurt, and then I see Zen looks like he's excited to answer this question. Maybe Mo, I don't know. So go ahead.
All right, so I'll take a shot at a little bit of that. I think I'm going to defer to Hillary and Zen and Mo and the experts on some of these other things. But before I lose that, there was something about what Rokan is working. He's working on an actual federal bill. I just want to touch on that. We didn't close the loop on that one. That's still in legislative council. It's been there for about a year. COVID has kind of stalled that a little bit, but I just want that's at a federal level. He is engaged, so we have state and federal activity going on. And the other one I wanted to mention on is when Councilmember Chahal talked about, do we have a target of small businesses? I would like to at least offer the ones that Santa Clara created the small business grants to, that applied for them. That's a great place to start. I don't know if you're able to combine that with what Project Equity has already put together, but those are small businesses that are struggling already, and you've already engaged and have a solid relationship. So I hope that's a starter list. Regarding your comments about what Mission is doing, we're trying to do, like I said, a parallel approach. What Project Equity and DAWI, these are all trusted and established ways of business ownership conversions and process that works and is proven to work. It's what we went through. We went with we utilized Project Equity services. We worked with the Federation and SELC and DAWI, and those services are absolutely required for what we're doing right now. What we're trying to do at Mission College is take, like you said, a more kind of like a practical, what are some of the things you need to know as a worker, as an owner, and even as legislators? How can all of these three things come together to learn about what is expected of them in a kind of a real nuts and bolts way, and to come at it from that approach? Not this is an unproven kind of approach on how we're looking at it, at least in this kind of in this curriculum, if you will. It's still being defined. Right now, we're just creating the first class, which is that kind of intro class, but it's designed for workers, owners, and government folks to really orient them on, do you think this is a good fit? Trying to get cut to the chase, 2-hour class, talk about very specific sections. What is a transition? What are some of those things to really come at it from that way? And I believe it's completely complementary and consistent with what's happening in the city. These, like I said, these are tried and true ways of making inroads into worker ownership in cities, and this is what these folks do. So I'm really excited to be doing a kind of a parallel initiative to see if we can kind of create a kind of leverage effect in this entire process. I hope that gets a little bit. I'll let Zen and Hillary really talk about some of the other aspects of the education program.
Sure, it's a fantastic question, and thank you, Kurt, for laying out some of what's needed to make it easier for owners to even understand this concept and be able to anticipate some of the questions they're going to be asking in the first place, right? So I'll just be brief, and I know there are other people who can speak to this. I think what we try to do is make it very clear that this is like any other option for selling your business, but it's one that might actually work the best for your business. It's an option you may not know about, but there are many options out there that people don't know about, and here's just one of them that can help you ensure you don't keep money on the table. when you're thinking about selling your business. And for most small businesses that I think we're targeting with this particular initiative, it's likely they're going to have a real difficult time finding a buyer outside the company. And so the best buyers are going to be the employees. And so I think we tell that narrative in a number of different ways. I think one way that we do it is through storytelling in a really simple way. People like Kirk, who clearly are champions of this forum and this process, can talk very clearly about the value proposition and what it means to be able to support this and how it's better, not just from a value standpoint, but also from a bottom line standpoint, also from like, how does it strengthen the business? And then also hear from other businesses, maybe in other industries too, to just understand just actually how normal it is, how it's widespread and how it can work in many different fashions. So that's just one of the ways in which we start to normalize this. And I think one of the other ways we do this is through ecosystem capacity building. So getting this into the toolkits of other business-facing organizations, just be able to understand this is just one of the ways in which they can support their clients. So it starts normalizing it so that owners say, great, well then, what's my checklist to figure out whether or not this is the right option for us? We have tools that we're hosting on the website that owners can use, be able to download and immediately be able to go through and figure out whether or not this is the thing they want to follow up on. And then immediately, if there's interest, they go directly to Project Equity, who can then work with them to really have their questions answered. So maybe I'll pass to Project Equity, maybe talk a little bit about their process and how they anticipate those questions.
Thank
Donna,
you.
would you like to take that?
And I can jump in a little bit about.
Mo, you have your hand.
Yes, I would. I'd like to talk a little bit about the. Can you all hear me?
This is Donna. Hi, Donna.
Yes.
I'm hearing you, but I'm
Hi.
looking at Mo because she has her hand raised. So go ahead.
Donna, you go.
Okay,
I'll jump in
yeah.
after.
So I'd like. Great. Yeah, I'd like to just speak a little bit about the educational event and the webinar. Our educational events really are focused around demystifying myths for business owners and really giving a kind of a deep dive into employee ownership 101. We'll really look into readiness factors for businesses, what kind of factors make for a really strong fit for employee ownership. We also will go over the transition process in detail. As I shared earlier, it is a multi-phase process that begins with exploration, can then lead into a formal feasibility to really do a financial analysis of the business, to really understand the financial health and the management bench of the company. And then through the designing the co-op itself. We have a saying in Project Equity, when you've talked to one small business, you've talked to one small business, because each business is unique and has their own unique scenarios. But there are some kind of similarities, and that is the overall process of it that we can share with everybody in those educational events. And then, of course, those lead into those one-to-one consultations that we find really important to really understand each business, what their goals are, and their unique scenario.
Okay, thank you. Mo?
Yeah, I think that Donna and Zen covered a lot of it. I think the one last piece that I would add is, this very, very astute question, is that it's really important for these businesses to be able to have that rich ecosystem and have people that they can go and talk to, not just as, like service providers, but also as peers, as business owners. And one thing that I think is a real benefit to Santa Clara is that there's a really rich ecosystem of worker cooperatives that are in the area or in the general Bay Area that these new businesses are going to be able to lean on. There's a lot of what we do at the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops is making sure that there's connections between those businesses. And they're really able to do that kind of like real time, like, hey, I'm having trouble with this piece of the onboarding or converting my business. Like, what do I do? Where did you go? And being able to share those best practices really quickly is one of the threads of this whole big picture that all of these collaborators are working on to make sure that all these businesses are fully supported. So thank you again to everyone for all your support.
Thank you. So I don't know if I have any other council questions. What about members of the public? Is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment? I don't see any. Assistant City Clerk, are you seeing any?
We don't have any on our side, Mayor.
Okay, I don't know, Robin, if you wanted to make any closing comments. This is a great report for our public to hear that we've made so much progress. It's taken a little bit, but we're finally here. We're getting close to helping our small businesses. So I'm really, really excited about this. And I'm excited about the energy level that's here with all our experts, that, you know, you're very excited about, you know, putting this to work in Santa Clara even more. So thank you all for coming this evening. Robin, did you say there was anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you, Mayor and Council. And then that's it for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming, everyone, on that issue.